Hello friends, welcome to my virtual laboratory. In today's video, I am going to demonstrate one experiment from BSc Part 3 of Shivaji University, Kolhapur. As you know, we have started demonstrating organic estimations. Today, I am going to demonstrate second number organic estimation, that is to estimate the amount of cane sugar or sucrose in the given solution by Felling's solution method. The aim of the experiment is to estimate the amount of cane sugar, that is sucrose, present in the given solution by using Felling's solution. The apparatus required for this experiment is round bottom flask, then burette, pipette 5 ml capacity, volumetric flask of 250 cc capacity, and porcelain dish. So this is the apparatus required for this estimation. Now we shall take information about the chemicals required for this estimation. We will be given a sugar solution in a round bottom flask. One normal SCl solution is also given. Felling's solutions A and B are also given. We also need solid Na2CO3 sodium carbonate and the indicators K4-FeCN6 and methylene blue. So these are the chemicals required for this estimation. Now, what is the principle behind this estimation of cane sugar by using Felling's solution? As we know, this is the volumetric method. We are going to measure the volume of what? Yes, we are going to take the information in detail. We are going to perform a redox reaction. The sugar, actually the inverted sugar or the reducing sugar, is capable of reducing the CuO to Cu2O, cupric oxide to cuprous oxide. Whenever a redox reaction takes place, reduction and oxidation takes place simultaneously. That means the reducing sugar, when it reduces the cupric oxide, at the same time the sugar itself is getting oxidized. We are going to understand this reaction perfectly. Felling's solution is there in which this cupric oxide is present. 10 ml of Felling's solution is taken for this particular estimation, and volume of the sugar solution which is required for this Felling's solution to get completely reduced, yes, from that volume the weight of sugar in that particular volume is calculated. And from that volume, we are going to calculate the weight of sugar in the given solution. How we are going to do this? Let us take the information one by one. But the problem is, cane sugar itself is not at all a reducing sugar. So, we have to convert that into a reducing sugar prior to the estimation. So, what we are going to do? When this sucrose or cane sugar is hydrolyzed, it gets converted into glucose and fructose. Out of these two, glucose is the reducing sugar. This sugar takes part in the reduction reaction and it gives us the required results. How the reaction takes place? Glucose, yes, is treated with the cupric oxide which is present in Felling's solution. Then it gives out gluconic acid, oxidation product of glucose, and cuprous oxide, the reduction product of cupric oxide. So glucose, which is a reducing sugar, it gets oxidized to gluconic acid. At the same time, the cupric oxide, that is copper 2 plus, the oxidation state is 2 plus. That cupric oxide gets reduced to Cu plus, that is oxidation state 1, Cu2O, cuprous oxide is obtained. So at the same time, when glucose is getting oxidized, the cupric oxide from Fehling solution is getting reduced. So this is the reaction which is involved in this particular reaction. We know the Fehling solution, the relationship is there to calculate the amount of sugar which is capable of reducing 10 ml of the cupric oxide solution present in the Fehling solution. So this is the reaction which is involved in this estimation. The procedure, first of all, we are going to perform the hydrolysis of the cane sugar solution. For this, what we are going to do? To the given solution of sugar in the round bottom flask, we are going to add 5 ml of 1 normal HCl. This is important for the purpose of hydrolysis. This is required for the hydrolysis. We are going to stopper the round bottom flask loosely and heat it on water bath for half an hour. That is 30 minutes. Then we are going to cool and neutralize the solution, neutralize the excess acid in the solution by adding pinch of sodium carbonate and stirring it properly. Then we are going to transfer that solution to the volumetric flask, dilute it, dissolve it dilute it with distilled water, and we are going to make the solution 250 ml exactly. How we are going to perform all these sequences? Let me demonstrate with the help of this virtual experimentation. So what we are going to have? We are going to have the sugar solution in a round bottom flask. We take 5 ml of 1 normal HCl. We add that 5 ml to this particular round bottom flask. And then we are going to heat this solution in a water bath. We are keeping this clay pipe triangle in the water bath, and then yes, the flask is heated for 30 minutes. During this 30 minutes duration, what happens? There is hydrolysis of cane sugar and we get glucose and fructose, the mixture of glucose and fructose. Out of this, remember, glucose is the reducing sugar. So after the heating is completed, 30 minutes over, we are going to transfer this solution to the beaker, and then we are going to add little amount of sodium carbonate at a time. Little amount of sodium carbonate is added and the solution is properly stirred. While stirring is going on, there are effervescence observed in this particular beaker. We are going to add sodium carbonate, a pinch of it at a time, till the effervescence are stopped. Okay. When the effervescence stop, we are going to stop the addition of sodium carbonate. This is the indication of neutralization of whatever excess acid is present in that hydrolyzed solution. So this is the required step for the neutralization of excess acid. Then we are going to dissolve this in distilled water. We are going to transfer this solution into the volumetric flask of 250 ml. Then we are going to add required amount of distilled water again, so that the total volume becomes exactly equal to 250 ml. As I have told you earlier, the marking should be in the level of our eyes, and the lower meniscus of the solution is such that it should pass through the marking on the volumetric flask. Then we have to shake this properly to get the homogeneous solution. The flask is corked properly and then it is inverted and shaken such that the homogeneous solution is observed. The homogeneous solution, when it is obtained, now we are going to perform next essential step, that is most important, pour all the solution into a clean and dry beaker. Okay, all the solution 250 ml is taken out, poured in a clean and dry beaker. This is called inverted sugar solution or hydrolyzed sugar solution. Then we are going to perform the titration. For this particular purpose, we are going to pipette out 5 ml each of this Phelling A and Phelling B solution into a evaporating dish. 5 ml of Phelling B solution, that is copper sulfate solution, is pipetted out and it is transferred to the evaporating dish. Then 5 ml of Phelling A solution is pipetted out and it is also transferred to the same evaporating dish. Okay. Then to this particular solution, we are going to add 1 test tube distilled water and then we are going to heat it to boil. When the boiling starts, then we are going to perform the titration. We are not using conical flask as we use in the usual titration. Here, this boiling solution of Phelling A and Phelling B plus 1 test tube distilled water, which is being boiled. While it is boiling, at this particular state, the solution from burette is to be added. So we pour that solution of sugar solution in the burette. We fill the burette. We take all the precautions. Yes, removing the air bubble and adjusting the zero level. Then the solution is added from the burette to the boiling solution of Phelling A and Phelling B, such that we are going to use the indicator. There are 2 indicators provided for this particular estimation. One is K4 efficiency, which is to be used as an external indicator, and another one is methylene blue, which is to be used as internal indicator. So how this method is to be performed, let me demonstrate it very clearly. So when we are intended to use external indicator, K4 efficiency is to be used. We are going to use a filter paper. First of all, we are going to cut it into half. Then we are going to fold it and we are going to add a drop of the solution from the evaporating dish. Okay, the solution from evaporating dish is to be added on the paper, the folded paper. Then we are going to unfold the paper and then we are going to add a drop of K4 efficiency near the drop on the second fold of the paper. What we are going to observe? We shall observe such reddish tinge at the junction of the 2 drops. Okay, this is indication of incomplete reaction. Still the reaction is incomplete and that is why the red tinge is being observed. We are going to repeat this process several times. That means after 2 ml addition each. Every time after 2 ml addition, we are going to perform this particular testing in the first attempt, that is to determine the pilot reading. Okay. So again we are going to do the same thing several times. We are going to repeat this process till we are going to get the end point. What is the end point? We are going to see. The paper is folded solution from evaporating dish is being dropped on the paper. Unfolding of the paper is done, and then we are going to add a drop of K4 FeCN6 indicator. What we are going to observe? Yes, this is the end point where the red tinge has been disappeared from the junction. We are going to repeat this process till this particular point is reached. Okay, so when this disappearance of the red tinge is observed, that reading is considered as pilot reading, and then in another attempt of the titration, we are going to determine the exact reading by the similar method. If at all methylene blue is provided as an indicator, we are going to perform that, we are going to utilize that as an internal indicator. What we are going to do? The dilute sugar solution is taken in a burette. We have in an evaporating dish, yes, 5 ml each of Phelling A and Phelling B plus 1 test tube distilled water, and we have started boiling that solution. We go on adding the sugar solution without determining any kind of endpoint. Till a certain mixture is observed such that there is a red precipitate settled at the bottom and the supernatant liquid is still somewhat bluish. I am going to demonstrate that exactly. And at that particular point, the methylene blue indicator, 2 to 3 drops of methylene blue are added into that particular solution which is in the evaporating dish. The solution immediately turns dark blue, and then the sugar solution is added, the addition is continued further till the blue coloration disappears. That means the end point is, yes, blue to colorless. How this is being observed in the evaporating dish? Suppose this is the evaporating dish, the solution is previously blue color, Phelling A plus Phelling B. After some time, addition of some sugar solution, there is a red colored precipitate settled at the bottom of the evaporating dish, and the supernatant liquid is still bluish, light blue color is there. At this particular point, we are going to add the methylene blue indicator. The solution immediately becomes dark blue, and further continued addition of sugar solution from the burette will offer us the color change, that is from blue to colorless. At this particular point, we are going to stop the addition of sugar solution from burette, and we are going to take down or note down the end point. We are of course going to repeat the titration to know the constant burette reading. Okay, so this is the way in which we are going to use external and internal indicator. The indicator which is to be used externally, it is to be used externally only. Okay, it cannot be used as internal indicator, and vice versa. So these are the observations which we are going to write down in our journals. Solution is in burette is diluted, hydrolyzed or inverted sugar solution. Solution by pipette is 5 ml each, that is 10 ml of Phelling solution. Then indicator K4 FeCN6, it is to be used as external indicator. End point is disappearance of red tinge. Indicator number 2, that is methylene blue, it is to be utilized as an internal indicator, and the color change is blue to colorless. That is the indication of end point. Constant burette reading is noted as VML or V cubic centimeter. Observation table is drawn as usual. Accurate readings are noted down. Constant burette reading is nothing but VML. The calculations. After the titration, what we have known? 10 cc of Phelling solution required V cc of inverted sugar solution. This is our observation. Now from this given relation, that 1 cc of Phelling solution corresponds to 0.00475 grams of cane sugar. That means 1 ml of Fehling solution, the copper cupric oxide which is present in 1 ml of Fehling solution can be reduced by glucose which is derived from hydrolysis of 0.00475 grams of cane sugar. This is the well-known equation. It is given to us. So 1 cc of Fehling solution corresponds to 0.00475 grams of cane sugar. We have taken 10 cc's of Fehling solution. So 10 cc of Fehling solution will have, yes, will be corresponding to 0.0475 grams of cane sugar. So 10 cc of Fehling solution have required V ml of sugar solution, and that is why the calculation continues like this. V cc of inverted solution corresponds to 0.0475 grams of cane sugar. Okay. V cc of cane sugar was a part and parcel of 250 ml of the hydrolyzed diluted sugar solution. So 250 ml of inverted sugar would have, yes, would have that much of grams of sugar, that is equal to 250 into 0.0475 divided by V grams of cane sugar. This is the final formula which is required for the calculation. So 250 ml of the inverted sugar solution, that is which was given to us in a round bottom flask, that is having this much of sugar. What is that amount? 250 into 0.0475 divided by V grams of cane sugar will be present in the given solution. So this is the result. Weight of the sugar in the given solution is dash dash grams. This is the result of this estimation. Of course, as usual, we have our homework. Write down the experiment in the journal. Take V is equal to 18.5 cc for external indicator. Take V is equal to 19.3 cc for internal indicator. Two different readings are observed when you perform the experiment with external indicator as well as internal indicator. In the examination, practical examination, we are supposed to carry out the titration either using external indicator or using internal indicator. Any of the two methods is suggested by the examiner for performing the titration. So we have to know the method of using external indicator as well as internal indicator. So you take both these readings, calculations are different for external as well as internal indicator titration. This is the method of representation of this experiment in the journal. To the right hand side, we are going to write aim, apparatus, chemicals, principle, procedure and the result. To the left hand side, we are going to write down the reaction, observations, solution in burette, solution by pipette, indicator, endpoint, the observation table, and then we are going to write down the calculations. Okay. So, how was the experience of my virtual laboratory? You must have enjoyed this demonstration. Thank you very much.